All right, this next concept is going to get into some of the high-tech pentatonics where we've been speeding things up and getting into some pattern playing and some extended fingerings. And this is all stuff that kind of, came out of the high-tech thing in the 80s. And some well-known players like Zakk Wylde, maybe Eric Johnson, and now, of course, everybody thinks of Joe Bonamassa. You've also got a lot of younger players that are using a lot of kind of different techniques in order to speed it up and make it a little more intense. So this is real rock kind of stuff. Most of what I'm going to get into is probably more on the Zakk Wylde side of things than any of the bluesier players. So when I say patterns, the thing about patterns is that they're really small groupings of notes. So this, in the alchemy sense, we're getting down. We're getting down to this, micro atomic level, really small groupings, and then seeing what we can do with them. So an example of a pattern might just be what we call descending fours, which is where you go down 4 notes and then you start at the next note down in the scale, and then you just keep going down the scale. Like this. And you can do it going up. And it has a lot of challenges to it because you have to roll your first finger. And various things. So this is the kind of thing we're going to look at in the metronome study section. But then some things have happened over the years where we got this, I think Eric Johnson really brought the 6s and 5s, but I remember kind of latching on to the notion of 6s, which is really cool and just in the pentatonic box because you have like a... And that's the kind of thing you can get going pretty fast on if you spend a little time on it. But then the next thing that kind of came to light was if you take the, and I'm going to make reference to the traditional pentatonic fingering notion, where you kind of have this box here. This is all in F sharp. And then you have this shape kind of right below it. So there's only a certain portion of the neck where you can actually do this because the spread fingering is kind of challenging, kind of if you're lower down on the neck. So I'm going to do it up here. Now I'm just going to play the notes, and what you'll see is that there are notes repeating if you just play this 3 notes per string. So in F sharp, we'd have A, F sharp, and E on the first string. And then we'd have E, C sharp, and B. And then B, A, and F sharp. And then F sharp, E, and C sharp. And then C sharp, B, and A. And then A, F sharp, and E. So you just play it straight down, you get that repeating thing, which you can make use of, but it's a little counterintuitive. It can be a little shreddier because the hand synchronization is now based on a 3 note per string concept rather than 2 notes per string. So you have, and that's the pattern, and then you just play the pattern over and over. And then you can do it with pull-offs. So that's the kind of thing. So really this is just a concept, and we're going to have a couple of examples that we work through, but it's kind of a cool thing to keep in mind. The other thing we're going to look at is just in the 2-string pattern zone, something like this. And this is the kind of thing that Zach Wilde, really brought to the table. Randy Rhoads did it to a certain extent too. But essentially, you're just taking these two strings segments of the pentatonic scale and then working up and working horizontally on the neck. And that's one of those ones you can play at 16th or triplets. Depending on what, how fast you can do it in your given tempo. So 2-string patterns, patterns in 6s like Eric Johnson. Eric Johnson also famously does 5s. I think Joe Bonamassa does that too. Lots of people are doing it now. So I'm going to try to employ some of that in the demonstration that's coming up. But right now, let's just do a little bit of metronome practice with a couple of these things that I just talked about so that you can kind of get it under your fingers, because it's really just through practicing that you'll get this stuff into your playing. First up, we're going to look at descending 4s. Now we're going to look at ascending 4s in position. Now we're going to look at descending and ascending 6s. Now we're going to look at descending 4s in a spread fingering. All right, so there's some exercises to get you started in order to get this concept under your fingers. As I said, this is one of those technical things, so until you've spent some time practicing just the nuts and bolts of it, it's going to be difficult to get it into your playing. So start slowly and get working your way up, and then you'll be doing it before you know it.